Hello friends, this is my review of the WL Toys A979 1/18 scale monster truck. Let's start with a quick overview. This truck is a brushed version featuring a brushed 390 motor with a combo speed control receiver and a 2.4 GHz rating. It has 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel independent suspension, and a completely rebuildable, replaceable, repairable chassis. Some other features include comparatively large off-road tires, a LiPo battery, full ball bearings, front and rear bumpers from the factory, aluminum shock caps, and metal dog bones. Now that you know a little bit about it, let me share some thoughts with you. Let's start out with the things that I really like about this truck. This truck is only $69 US, which is about as cheap as you can get for a hobby grade RC. The only comparable truck is the Exceed Mini Mad Beast. More on that in my comparison review though. Regarding durability, the only damage to report was a cracked one wheel, which was fairly minor and didn't really affect the performance at all. There were also some motor problems, but we'll talk more about that later. There were 0 other broken parts to report, and I drove this truck in many different scenarios. I decided to run the truck without any checks beforehand, as this should be a novice or beginner hobbyist truck from the description. To me, this means it should be able to run out of the box, and this was 100% the case. It's better to make sure you tighten everything right away, but this truck was fine straight from the box to the ground for basic driving. Let's talk about some of the perks. I really liked having ball bearings out of the box. This is a nice upgrade for such a low cost RC. Many lower end brand name RCs still include old megahertz based radio systems with their models. WL Toys gives you a 2.4 GHz system right out of the box, which is great. I also love the inclusion of a LiPo battery. It makes such a huge difference to run times and power, and again, most other name brands still include NIM stick batteries for RTR kits, even on the higher end kits. There are partial aluminum caps on the shocks, which is great. That should improve the durability as long as the aluminum is decent quality. All dog bones are metal out of the box, which is also a great standard feature. 4-wheel drive is another great one. Most entry-level models are rear-wheel drive only. The A979 is advertised as waterproof, and I did put this to the test, which it passed with flying colors. Large puddles and wet cement were not an issue at all. This truck was able to perform in many places a 1/10 scale truck could go. I found it had ample power for grass, cement, and gravel. I even ran it in large puddles in wet conditions with no issues to report. This truck was able to perform in many places with 1/10 scale truck. I found it had ample power for grass, cement, and gravel. This truck is easily hitting in the neighborhood of 50 kilometers an hour, which is fairly impressive for a brushed vehicle. Something to note is it's also very controllable at this speed. Now let's talk about some of the things I didn't like about the truck. Let's talk about the battery. Although this battery generates some decent power, my run times were only in the 6 to 7 minute area on average, and the battery ran fairly hot. I bought another aftermarket battery, which I linked to in my description, that seemed to perform a little better. It was around $9. Another problem I had was the motors. These motors will burn out easily if you're not careful about the gear mesh. I highly recommend checking this truck over in detail before running it, and possibly breaking this motor in before running it hard. A loose screw on the motor mount can cause the gears not to mesh properly, which will burn the motor out quickly. Something else I noticed was the plastic drivetrain. Mine held up, but it seems like with the amount of power this truck puts out to the wheels, WL Toys should consider adding a metal shaft. Some other smaller notes that I noticed are the body. The material the body is made out of is the same type of material that I know doesn't stand up to cold temperatures well. It seems to be the norm on these lower end hobby kits. I just want to touch on the part support. Although shipping can take a while, the parts are cheap and shipping is free. I don't mind waiting if it means I'm going to be paying reasonable prices. Almost all breakable parts are available online. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the digital trim on the remote. I find you can't get the precision you can get on a knob or dial based trim setup. It's fairly minor, as I don't think it caused the truck to not drive in a straight line or continue moving with no throttle, but it would be nice to see. Overall, this truck was probably the best entry level hobby grade RTR on the market today. The price is great and the quality is much better than I anticipated. I highly recommend this as an entry level for kids or even adults who aren't sure they want to be serious in this hobby. Might as well pay $70 for this rather than $70 for a toy from Walmart. Trust me, you'll be much happier and a hero to your kids if you give this as a gift. So on that note, here are my rankings. Durability, 8.5 out of 10. The only real question mark is the motor, and at that a replacement is only about $7. Fun factor, 9 out of 10. This thing thinks it's a 1/8 scale monster truck, and the all-weather driving adds to the fun. parts support. 7.5 out of 10. Great support and very fair pricing. Just expect to wait a while if you order something. Make sure to buy some extra parts, like another motor, up front if you need. Price, 10 out of 10. You aren't going to be able to beat the price to fun ratio on this truck. As always, click like if you enjoyed the video, and you can subscribe to see more. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.